you don't have to, really like risk a lot of capital by, paying national insurance or like pension plus a salary plus minimum wage. You can literally just pay somebody like month to month basis in the Philippines, for example, pay them more than their average wage in their country, so they're getting a good deal, but also less than what you would pay if you got an in-house employee in the UK. So that's exactly what I did. The same virtual assistant is with me to this day, like 2-3 years later almost. So yeah, really, really nice. And then from that point, I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel like a bit of a business owner now, because it's not just me.
Yeah.
It's like, I have someone in the UK fulfilling the orders. I have my VA doing the customer support. And then I have like an agency running the ads, which I later transitioned to a media buyer that kind of works a bit closer with me, like, and the team in-house. So it feels like more of he's not an employee, he's still a business owner. He's still freelance. He's got other clients and stuff. Makes a ton of money, but it feels more like a business and less like an agency that's kind of like trying to squeeze you of put in as little effort as possible, or maximum effort as possible in the first month, 2 months, and then they kind of like
maintaining.
Then they're like, okay, what's the least amount of work we can do to keep that retainer? Now, not all agencies are like this. I just had like a bad run, I think, but also because I'd never run Facebook ads before, and I would say that's a massive point to everyone, is like, just try and do the role that you're going to hire before you actually hire somebody. Because my biggest problem with this, even with this same media buyer I have today, I didn't know really how to direct somebody because I'd never done it. So if they just said something, I'd be like, okay. Yeah. Whereas now I can say, but how about we try this? How about we try that? Or I had this idea. Can you implement that in the ad account? Yeah. And having a bit more of a business owner's approach, like, it just completely changed everything.
You can play devil's advocate, can't you? You can query things, you can question like the thought process maybe behind actioning certain things, and maybe you agree or disagree with them, but regardless of what happens, you have the opportunity to at least discuss it, which I think is the important part about that. Is just, and that's the thing with ecom, it's one of those business models where you kind of have to know quite a lot of everything, at least initially, or you have to at least dip your toes in it, like getting the store built and set up, like potentially hiring your first employee, which in most cases probably a VA or a media buyer, potentially running some ads by yourself, optimizing the site for conversion rate, or setting up some basic emails and that kind of stuff, customer support. So there's like so many different little areas that kind of need to be fulfilled initially, but then, like you say, once the core of everything is built, and maybe you've built like a close-knit team, you're able to then not necessarily sit back, because you still have roles and responsibilities, but you kind of got everyone doing the roles and fulfilling in what you need them to fulfill, and then it's like, hang on a minute, you can go on that road trip with your friends and sit back and hear your phone just keep getting, like, making that cha-ching noise, So.
Yeah, I miss those days, man. I had to turn that off. Like, once you get to a certain point, you have to turn it off. Otherwise, like, it just ruins your mental health.
Good problem to have. Good problem.
Yeah. Like, I'll only do it for like the first couple of weeks of a store now, just to feel that feeling again. But no, you can't have that, because I used to have like my emotions and my mood based on how many cha-chings I would hear in an hour, and if I didn't hear it, I'd be like an addict, like on my phone, like what's happening, what's going wrong. When really you got to look at things from like a weekly time frame. You can have a bad day, like it's totally normal. But I would say that's the biggest mistake I made when you said about like sitting back and relaxing, because although I got to go traveling and stuff, like now when I travel I work like all the time anyway, because I don't want to go back to what happened before. So like it was December 2022, had the best month of my life, made the most money I'd ever made, like literally like a yearly salary in a month, like genuinely just felt on top of the world. Like I can't even explain the feeling, right? Because imagine like 31 days of just every day waking up to like green, and it was insane. But then it was while all that was happening, I was doing the least work, because everything was like so well oiled and functioning, and Q4, it's a gifting brand, like that's the time of year, Christmas, that we have our peak, our biggest peak. And I didn't do anything really, when in reality I should have been prepping new content for January. I should have been, had a bank of creatives ready to publish new ads in January, because the ads that perform in December might not perform in January. But I didn't really have that forward thinking. I just thought, okay, things are going well for me now. This is my life for the rest of my life. Yeah. And then the next month, literally went from 6 figures down to like $2,000 profit.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, like, if I made that in a day last month, that'd be a bad day. Like, and I made it over the whole of January, and it took me so like by surprise. That I kind of needed it, because then I was like, okay, I'm not done yet. I can't relax. Like there is a much bigger game to play. Like I need to really be putting in the hours. Otherwise, it's not just going to stay at this level forever. So
I think that period you were enjoying in Q4 was just the compounding effect of all the hard work you'd done leading into that point, plus coinciding with, Q4 being the best time in the year for ecom, especially with regards to gifting, if that's your niche as well. So that was probably what you were enjoying there, but you forgot about what was to come after that. And I think it's probably just a bit of a wake up call, right?
That's it. And like I say, I needed it, because otherwise, that would have been my story.
Yeah.
Whereas no, I want to reach new heights every time, every year. So I'm glad I still have that, now I do again have that kind of hustler mentality where I just want to put in more hours, because more inputs equal more outputs, and it's as simple as that.
So what period are we in now? December 2022?
Yeah, so coming into January 2023.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So it was in October 2022 that I already decided that I wanted to list the store to see, just because I saw a tweet, I think, about someone exiting their brand, or it might have been even a video from a YouTuber, I can't remember, but something made me think, oh my God, I've got a brand. How much will people pay me for that? So I ended up listing it, but then I took it down within a day, because I was like, hang on a minute, Q4 is coming up, October, November, December, it's going to be our best time of the year. Let me get those numbers into the yearly P&L, because obviously the way that people value businesses is your trailing 12 months. So whatever you made in the past 12 months in net profit, they'll give you a multiple of that, whether it's 2x, 3x, or more or less. So I thought, okay, let me get that number as high as possible, so that my, once they apply the multiplier, it's a good number. And anyway, after Q4 happens, that's exactly what I did in January, listed it. And because I listed it, I don't know why, I just assumed I was just going to get a buyer straight away. So I wasn't really putting much work in. I'm okay, we had an amazing year in 2022. Lock in that number, and now everyone give me your offers.
Yeah.
Whereas this process that I didn't know for me, it took 5 months. And obviously, if you have then 5 months of red or no growth, then it's going to affect your multiple quite massively, which it did for me. But yeah, I listed it in January 2023. And funnily, I had 20 people message me on this online platform. I use Flipper, and on that platform, I had 20 people message me, but it was the very first guy that ever inquired on that listing that ended up buying the brand. But it just took a lot longer than I expected.
Yeah. So you actually exited, well, I guess it was your first ever attempt at an ecom store, but you went on to exit that, which is amazing. Not many people actually get the opportunity to do that. So
that was a crazy feeling, honestly. I genuinely just thought, wow, somebody has parted with a lot of their money that they've earned in their career and just given it to me, because whatever I've built is valuable enough for them to do that.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy. I remember that day, because with this whole due diligence thing, it was every day for 3 months. We're today could be the day. Today could be the day. Today, and it was just every day I was like, oh my God, today could be the day, and it never was. And it really got to me. I was like, oh my God, I just really want this to happen. And some points you think it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Some points you think, oh, I'm not going to get as much money as I thought. All this happened, and the day it happened, I went with my girlfriend at the time, and I was just we're just having a day. I'm just doing nothing. I'm not looking at any screens. We went to a beach club and just led on a beach. I was I've done it. Made it.
Took it all in. Yeah. Retired.
Oh man, that was a good feeling. But then the next day you realize, okay, this is not generational wealth. What do I do next?
Yeah. And I guess that's a good segue into what happened after that. Is the guy that bought it off of you, you end up having the opportunity to get back involved in the brand that you'd sold, right?
Yes. So I got a lump sum of cash up front, and then I had an earn out, so a monthly payment based on the brand's performance as my whole exit package. And that was going to last for 18 months. So I thought, okay, for the next year and a half, my bills are paid, and I can use this lump sum to invest in whatever I want to invest in. And for me, that was a software. I was going to build a software for agency owners, because I knew so many in Dubai, and they all have the same problem, which is, outreach at scale and getting new clients. So I thought, if I can help them get new clients, they'll pay me for it. I ended up spending a stupid amount of money into this software, near 6 figures cash. You instantly realize I need way more money to do something like this. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to need to sell equity to investors, do a raise, a couple million quid or whatever. And then I'm going to be working for them. Yeah. And I'm like, this is not the life that I want. I miss ecom, pressing some buttons. Do sales come in or not? Yes. Then up the budget. So that was that was the point where I realized, okay, I really don't want to do this anymore. But I basically spent over those 6-8 months or however long it was, I had no income, because in the meantime, this store, the guy that bought it from me, he's a very successful software entrepreneur, ironically, and I think he bought an Amazon store and a Shopify store, which was mine, and then a physical business and something else. And to be honest, he had a lot of money, and I don't think he needed my brand to work. Not to say he didn't want to, but he also didn't have any experience in ecom. So he just hired an agency. He didn't give them any new creatives or anything like that. Nothing fresh. Didn't change the offer on the website. Left it exactly as it was when he bought it, and just kind of left it to die for 6 months. So they lost money 6 months in a row. So I didn't get any payout for 6 months. So I'm just like using my savings, and I'm spending a lot, I'm traveling. I'm like, it'll be all right. It'll pick up soon. It's Q4. And then Q4 comes around and he's like, okay, we should make some money. They did make a little bit of profit. I think they made like 20 grand profit in December. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to shut it down in January, like January 1st, because I don't want that big dip to happen again. And I just want to take what I've made in January to go against the losses of the past 6 months and call it quits. This one didn't work for me. It's not for me. I got bigger businesses to work on, lots more money to make elsewhere that's more aligned with my skill set. So I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. He's like, but do you know anyone that wants to buy the brand? And I was like, well, no, you've lost money for 6 months in a row, so I don't think anyone's really going to see much value in it. So then he was like, well, probably just going to shut it down, but obviously that means you lose your earnout agreement for the next year. And I'm like, yeah, it does. What are we going to do about that? But honestly, nicest guy ever. He was like, look, let me like just give you the brand back as like payment for the earnout. You keep whatever you've been paid so far for the deal, and then you just take the brand back. We call it quits. He didn't have to do that. There was no agreement. Like, he could have literally just let it go to nothing. He wouldn't have owed me a penny. So really nice gesture from him. Obviously had to legally buy it, so it was for £1. I bought it back for £1. We signed the agreement. I sent him £1 on Monzo, and I got the brand back.
That's crazy. Actually, sending it via Monzo. Of course, obviously you paid him. But
at the time, sending you £1, but you got to do it.
Yeah, especially if you compare it to what you earned from it as well. It's like, but obviously it was in a much different place when you sold the brand. Like you mentioned, there was no new creatives. He just continued running what was there, or via an agency, and we don't even know what the competency of that agency was, or you didn't really know what had been going on. So
they ran, I think it was 2 ads for 3 months straight, like crazy. In Q4, and they still made like money. They still made tens of thousands in profit in Q4. So that's what made my brain think, this is crazy. With 0 effort, it's still making 20 grand a month profit. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. And I guess that goes to show you at its core the proof of concept behind the product and the model, and most importantly, I think what makes it so scalable is the margin as well, right? Because gross, it's like something crazy, like 90%. Yes. I think it's just a bit over 90% gross margin, which is pretty unheard of, I guess, in ecom.
Yeah. So launched a store, selling paper, took it to initially 1.2 million in sales dollars, sold it and exited. The guy that bought it wasn't able to, I guess, fulfill on his end, or he was busy with other opportunity. The store pretty much comes down to zero again. Would that have been Jan 2023?
Yes, Jan 20. So I took it over on like December 30th. Yeah, 2023 actually.
Just after Q4, when you've had that peak.
Oh wait, are you talking about when I bought it back? When I bought it back, so 2023 was the year I was kind of distracted with the software. So end of 2023, December 30th or whatever it was, I took the brand back. Yeah. But at that point, I'd exhausted like my entire savings. Yeah. Like when I say like everything, I mean everything. And I was like, I could not believe the hole that I'd got myself into. And actually, I told nobody about this. Like everyone else in Dubai probably thought I was just spending way more time working. That's why nobody's seen me. Like, bro, I was inside. I couldn't even afford food. Like, it was crazy. Wow. And I got this brand back. But I'm like, I don't have any money to put into. What am I going to do? I can't even run ads for £10 a day. I don't have £10. Yeah. Like, bro, it was the craziest time of my life. I was like, how did I get into this mess? Like, from being in this massive high to then just the lowest of low. And like every month was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But you know what? I just knew I needed to take it back. So as soon as he offered it to me, I was like, yes, even though I knew I didn't have the money to run it. Yeah. Because obviously it had fixed costs as well, right? We got the VA, we got all the subscriptions. Like I was like, there's no way I'm going to afford this, but I just had to make it work. So it was another one of those like fire underneath you moments. But I'm glad I did because even though I had no money to run ads in that January when I took it, so I took it back on the end of December. So January is our first month running it again. And that was 2024. I did like £6,000 or £7,000 in organic sales, just kind of like trickling over from the last month's spend. And of that, I think it was like £4,000 or a bit more was profit because we had no expenses, like no ad spend. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like I now have $4,000 to like just put back in. And yeah, literally just snowballed from there. So January we did £6,000 and then December we did like £200,000. Wow.
So hold on. Oh yeah, the December prior.
The one after.
After.
So when I took it over in January, it was doing 6K a month revenue. And then we just finished off that year with 6 to 7K a day revenue.
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
So, but all from that organic money that came in at the start. If I didn't get that, then I don't know, I would have had to get a loan or something like for the ad spend. I don't even know.
Yeah. So you reacquired your previous brand and then built it back up to even greater heights than where you'd managed to do before.
Yeah, like double.
Amazing.